Welcome back, you guys. This is Cars and Stuff. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are back to work on my 97 Lexus LX450. This time we're going to be installing a head unit, the beautiful JVC KWM788BH, paired up with the Boyo backup camera VTL17LTJ. All these were purchased from crutchfield.com. Great website. As you can see, it comes with the Metra wiring harness. You got the GPS antenna, everything you need for this installation. Here you can see the JVC head unit. It is a slim profile, which I like a lot. That way you can hide all the wiring, makes it easy, because once you're done installing one of these, there's a lot of wiring behind the head unit. I love the way it looks. I love the way it sounds. Without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so yeah, basically right now what I'm doing is I'm going to try to figure out which wire controls the illumination on the radio. Basically, the harness I got with the radio is this one right here, and as you guys can see, we got a ground wire, we got a power wire or an accessory wire, we got a constant wire, positive wire, and then we have one for the amp and one for the antenna, but I don't have an illumination wire on here. Now, all this stuff that I see online, it actually says that there is no dimmer switch or not dimmer switch, dimmer wire or illumination wire for the factory radio. However, that's not accurate. I'll show you why. Here's the radio. This is what it looks like with the ignition on. So with the ignition on, you have the LCD screen on, right? And that's it. There's no lit up buttons. However, you can see that when I turn the lights on, the illumination comes on, right? Not only that, but you can clearly dim it. I want that option to work on my new aftermarket radio. I want to make it so that when I turn the headlights on, this screen on the radio physically dims. I wanted that option because if I ever go on a trip at night, I don't want a bright screen kind of lighting up the inside of the vehicle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out which cable plugs in to the back of the radio that controls the illumination. And my plan is to go ahead and switch or repin the factory harness so it actually attaches to the ground wire on this connector. This is the harness that I bought to connect from the factory connector or the factory wiring harness to the wiring harness to the new radio. I am going to use, I want to provide the radio with a new ground wire. So this is actually going to go to the chassis of the vehicle, and I'm going to use the one that would normally be the ground for this new harness. I'm going to try to use this as an illumination wire, so it all plugs in. I don't know if it makes sense right now, guys, but if it's going to work the way I think it's going to work, it's going to make it really nice, and it's going to do exactly what I want it to do. So stay tuned. I want this to dim my radio. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to check some of these connections. So what I did here is I went ahead and connected my connector on here. I'm sure they're good. You know, Crutchfield stuff is usually pretty good, but I'm going to put the car in accessory mode. I got a test light here. So that's accessory, and one of these accessories, the other one's constant. So let's see which one's which. Okay, so this is accessory, and this one is constant. You can see my test lights lighting up. Okay, so that's constant, so that works because the ignition's off right now. All right. One thing I want to do is there was contradicting information about this ground wire here. Crutchfield's website, it said that the factory harness is not grounded, which means you need to find your own ground, which I have found a ground that I'm going to use, but I'm just going to test that real quick. Okay. Alright, so it is grounded. So Crutchfield's website, you know, as good as it is, I bought many things from Crutchfield before, but that's not accurate. But I'm going to wire the radio. I'm going to ground the radio directly to ground. Alright guys, so basically, long story short, I think I got it figured out. This green wire right here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a green wire right here. That's my illumination wire. So when I turn my headlights on, that's what provides illumination to the radio. So I'm going to repin my harness so that ground plugs in right there, and then I'm going to hook that up to the orange lead on the radio harness, and that should dim my radio whenever my headlights come on. So you see how it's right here? That's my ground wire. Basically what I want to do is I'm going to move that to the second over here, and then that should, and I'm going to relabel this wire, and that should dim my radio. I'm going to plug that into the orange lead on the harness, hook up the other 4 wires, and I think that'll work. So let's see if I can get that done real quick. There we go. Pulling it out. Pull it in right here. Pushing it in, I should say. There you go. Let's test it out. Make sure that that is working properly. So when I turn my lights on, my test light should go on. Bam! Look at that. That's awesome. That's gonna work great. That's gonna dim my radio, and the factory harness is actually gonna stay the same, so that's awesome. Now perfect, moving right along guys. So now I'm gonna get to actually building the harness. In this case there's some wires that I'm not using because again I'm using some of those RCAs that came with the Metra harness. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a nice healthy piece of shrink wrap on here, a shrink tube, and you know me, I use the Bic lighters, so I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of heat it up, get it to shrink a little bit, and that'll take care of that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and cut my pieces for a shrink tube that are going to go on each individual wire. If my memory serves me correct, I think I had 4, maybe 5 wires that I needed to solder for this harness. So I'm just kind of preparing everything, getting it ready. That way when it comes time to solder all my wires, I can move right along. Here we go. So now I'm going to strip all the wires. Just pretty standard stuff. This is one of the amp or antenna wires. I believe that's the antenna wire. And basically in this case, what's going to happen is you're going to take this harness came with 2 blue wires. You're going to actually link those together. And then here, this is my illumination wire that I was telling you about earlier. So basically there's going to be 2 remote wires, one for the amp, one for the antenna. You're going to link those together, and then you're going to solder those to the one wire that comes from the actual from the Metra harness. So this is the harness that actually hooks up to the back of the radio, and you can see me kind of explaining that. So you're going to link basically 2 into 1, and so I go ahead and put my shrink wrap in there, link those 2 guys together. You want to keep it nice and tight. And as you can see, I love using my vise any chance I get. I got used to soldering all my wires on the vise. Seems overkill sometimes, but it does the job. I'm still on the hunt for an American vise, but they're just so expensive and so hard to come by sometimes. But I will. I'm patient. I'll get a good one. I've gone through a few of these soldering irons before, and I'll tell you guys, my experience has been the ones that plug into the wall are kind of the best ones. I got a butane one from Matco that worked for a while, but eventually it stopped working, and it just hasn't kind of worked since. I mess with it every now and then to get it working, but no such luck. Maybe one day I'll give it to the Matco guy at the dealership and have him fix it for me. Anyhow, I'm just you know, doing my thing with the shrink wrap. Yep. Perfect. Those are the remote wires, and again, one of those turns on the antenna, the other one is for the amplifier. And this is what I was talking about earlier. So here I'm hooking up the illumination wire, and again what that does is it actually dims the head unit when you turn the headlights on. And I had to kind of, you know, figure this one out, because all the stuff online tells you that there is no illumination wire, but of course there is. And you know the old saying, where there is a will, there is a way. So that's where we're at. A little bit of smoke coming out of my soldering iron. You can see me make some funny faces. And then I believe I'm doing one of the power wires here. So basically you have 2 power wires. One receives constant 12 volts. The other one receives 12 volts when you turn the vehicle on or to accessory. Basically the constant 12 volt, what it does is it maintains the memory on the vehicle. So like your save stations, your settings, that type of thing. Bust out the old big lighter again. Not too bad. Not too bad. One part that I didn't show on this video is I did go back and wrap the entire harness with some electrical tape to make it kind of all, you know, look good. I did clean up my wiring once I had it all installed. Didn't get that on video, kind of rushed through that part, but anyway. As you can see, I'm enjoying a beverage. As always, this is a hobby for me. I love doing this, guys. I love showing you guys all the different projects that I work on, and you know, hey, if I can pass some knowledge along, you know, that's a win in my book. You know, I do look at a lot of other people's videos. I do a lot of research, and well, if it isn't for people that film stuff like this, you know, a lot of us might have to really learn the hard way. So hopefully the steps I'm taking here will save somebody some time. And yeah, I am working on my video skills, by the way, guys. I'm working on some audio stuff. I'm gonna work on organizing the shop, making it look good so that my videos look more professional. But yeah, as you can see, the wiring harness is coming right along. So here what I did is that's the wire for the backup camera, and I just kind of set it up in advance. So I found this bolt back here, and this is going to be my ground. There's a spot right here as well, and I'm going to try to sneak my GPS antenna in there. You see, the GPS antenna likes metal, because essentially what it does is it turns the whole car into an antenna, and so it wants you to mount it to a metal body part, and I guess it likes to have kind of a clear, not a clear, but you know, it likes to have signal up above it, you know. So in the dash here, from what I've read and the research I've done, it's a good spot for it, especially if you have like a metal part, and there's a metal bar right here that I think would be a pretty good candidate for this. Even though this unit doesn't have built-in GPS, it does come with a GPS antenna that basically makes it easier for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to operate. Moving right along, guys. So this is another part of the harness. In this case, this is a built-in safety feature that most radios have, at least radios that play video. In this case, that green wire is supposed to get hooked up to the emergency brake. Okay, I'm gonna bypass that feature, and I'm gonna hook it up straight to ground. And usually this wire, what happens is you would pull your e-brake up. It allows you to access certain settings on your radio, and it would normally allow you to then go ahead and play video. They don't typically want you watching videos while you're driving the vehicle, so that's why that's supposed to go to the emergency brake. I'm gonna bypass it. I have my reasons. I actually go into it later on in this video. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm just crimping that connector onto the two wires, both the ground for the head unit and the ground for that safety feature, or that's normally supposed to go to the emergency brake. This is going to basically get bolted onto the chassis. That way I have a really good ground, and I know I don't have grounding issues later on. I've always done this with head units ever since I had an issue a long time ago, so I just always make my own ground. Cleaning the area. Sorry, you guys gotta look at the back of my head for a moment. It's kind of the best angle I've got to get in here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Anywho, I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in. Actually, let's do the ground first. now, make sure all these stay in. And that should pretty much run. That head unit. This is the antenna I was telling you guys about. It's got adhesive on one end. Thought it was magnetic. It's not. That was my imagination. Felt magnetic for a moment. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's magnetic. It's not. I really hope this stays up there. It should. You know, and with that antenna, guys, I just don't feel like running the wires all wild, like outside the car and all this crazy stuff. I don't feel like doing all that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it'll be better to just kind of tuck it all back here. It'll plug into the back of the radio and it should be good to go. Of course, I'll test it out before I put it all together. I do have to run my mic wire for the Bluetooth because I definitely want Bluetooth. This is what it looks like. Got a little swivel on it. I think I'm gonna probably put it somewhere near my A-pillar. Somewhere up there. But for now, I'm anxious to try my head unit, so I'm actually gonna hang on to this. I wanna try the head unit. I wanna make sure my Apple CarPlay works. I wanna make sure all that stuff works before I go ahead and get into other stuff. So hang on, here comes the good part, okay? This thing looks good, guys. I love the way it looks. So on the back, let me show you what I've got done so far. Just to recap, so this is that parking brake wire that I just went ahead and plugged in straight to ground again. This is not a tutorial on how to do this. This is just me documenting how I'm doing it. Okay, so you should probably follow factory recommendations just to be safe. Hook it up to your e-brake. I don't want to do that if I'm camping and I'm out in a cold place. I don't want my e-brake to be frozen after a while. Say I'm watching like a movie on this or whatever the situation is. I don't want to have e-brake issues. 80 series Landcruisers are notorious for having e-brake issues, and I just don't want that to happen. So I'm opting not to hook it up to the e-brake. Just my preference. Doing it at my own risk, guys, and you should probably do the same. Do it at your own risk, not mine, yours. Plug in. This is the ground. Harness. Antenna. GPS antenna. Bam. My RCAs aren't labeled, and I'm sure some people know these colors like the back of their hand, but I don't. So green is left, rear. So we got left rear, purple is right rear. That guy. This is exciting, guys. I'm really pumped up. And then we have white is left front and gray is right front. All right. What? Let's see if I can turn this light off. Maybe it'll look. There you go. Guys, she works. And one thing, guys, I don't know if you can see this. Let me show you something. Look what popped up. The antenna, baby. Check it out. Okay, language. I do speak Spanish. Or we're gonna click English. Okay. Dang. Guys, I'm pumped up. So obviously I'm using my camera, so I can't show you Apple CarPlay right this moment. But let's see if we can get some radio up in this joint. So, oh, we got some sound. What's up? We are listening to FM. Well, I muted this part, guys, and basically I didn't want to get hit with some copyright violations from YouTube or anything like that. I'm still super new to this stuff, and I don't know what I can and cannot get away with in that case. But take it from me, guys, the radio sounds really, really good. I'm super proud of the way everything came out. If you've made it this far into this video, I want to thank you for sticking with me. I know it's a pretty long one, but it's well worth it, and trust me, there's a lot more content coming. I have a lot of other stuff. I've actually got a surprise for you guys. I'm not gonna say exactly what it is right now, because I'm gonna make a whole video series about this, but it's more audio stuff. I think you guys are gonna dig it. You guys are gonna love it. I just love the way this came out, guys. Here it is, everything put together with the bezel back on. As you can see, I also got that backup camera working. It also dims the audio when you put the vehicle in reverse, which I think is a really cool feature, and you can adjust that type of thing as well. You can see I have the lines, and this is just a couple clips, a couple videos I put together of the actual installation I did with a backup camera. I don't want to drag this video out longer than I absolutely had to, but long story short, I ran the wires, made it so you can't see anything. I ran it through all the factory grommets, followed all the factory wiring, as you can see, right through this grommet. I mounted it to the license plate light holder, through the tailgate, through the grommet that runs the wiring from the tailgate into the cabin of the vehicle. I used all the factory stuff. This is where the backup camera actually gets its power and ground, and then this is the bottom of the vehicle, and then here's the finished product. As you can see, it looks awesome. It works great at night. It works great as well. Every time I put it in reverse, it shows me a very clear picture, and I can even see the edge of the bumper. It also has this feature where when you turn the vehicle to one side, it does turn those lines and kind of gives you a good idea where it's going to end up. Well, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that video. If you stuck with me this far, thank you so much for watching it. I really appreciate you. I also noticed I have a few more subscribers. I picked up a few more along the way. Guys, every time somebody subscribes, every time somebody comments, I get super excited about that. I do have more content coming. I've got some more audio stuff for the Lexus LX450 that I think you guys are really gonna enjoy. The people in the 80 series Landcruiser LX450 are absolutely amazing, and I have posted some of these upgrades I've done on my truck on forums, and people have really liked it. So it's time for me to make a video about that. That's coming next, and there's other stuff coming to this channel, believe it or not. Like for example, that's not my Honda Civic anymore. Got some stuff coming along with that. I'm going to make a full proper introductory video with that vehicle. And but again, guys, please like, subscribe, hit me, send me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything I can improve on. But again, guys, thank you for your time. This is Carson Stuff, and I will see you next time. Peace.